Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. How y'all doing? How y'all feeling? Welcome back to another week of Get Off the Damn Fence. That's right. We're here for another edition of our weekly show. We are here a day early. Typically, this show airs on Tuesday nights at 9 p.m., but because of the holidays, tomorrow night is Christmas Eve. We decided come on a little early, bring y'all a little Christmas cheer a little early into your week, and do this tonight as Monday Night Football is taking place at the same time. I'm glad to be joined as I am each and every week by our co-hosts Calvin Thomas, Justin B.A. the Barber Harris. How y'all doing tonight, gentlemen? Yes, sir. Calvin, how's your weekend been? How's everything been going?
Man, it's cold outside. It's cold as crap on Saturday. So, but we weren't too bad. Getting ready for Christmas and ready for this New Year. So glad to have a little time off, spend my time with y'all a day early, as we said. So
there you go.
All was good. How about y'all? How about y'all, fellas?
It's been an okay week so far.
This nigga, how was your weekend? Oh, you know why he mad. You know why he mad. We're gonna talk about why he mad in a minute.
Somebody spoil your party last night.
The Grinch did.
You know, did y'all playoff hopes go past in a rush?
Wow.
Did you write that down?
How long you write that? Yeah, how long did you garner that one up? Good God.
I held that in for a whole day.
That's wild. That's wild. Well, anyway, we thank you all for tuning in tonight, and we ask you to please like the show, share it, get the word out that we're on a day early. Let your people know that hey, you can tune in to find out some recaps from the weekend because there was a lot this weekend. Not really, was it? The weekend really wasn't that busy when you look at the NFL as far as the schedule. It wasn't a great slate of games, to be honest with you. But one game that was very important to Baltimore took place on Saturday, and that was when the Baltimore Ravens hosted the Pittsburgh Steelers on Saturday at the M&T Bank Stadium about 4 o'clock. It was cold outside. The bank was rocking, and it was a sight to behold. We're going to get into that and also some of the other key matchups. We won't do our typical rundown style. As you can see, I'm out of my studio this week, but we're still going to give you the same content, same hard-hitting, takes as we always do. But Justin, I want you to elaborate on that feeling one more time. What has got you despondent at this time? Go ahead, tell us.
Well, just the war in the Middle East and everything like that. It's just globally, it's not a time to be in a celebratory mood. And that is the only reason why I'm feeling like this. Don't got nothing to do with nothing else. Don't got nothing to do with Sunday night game.
Sure.
There was a game Sunday night?
We definitely going to get into that. Anyway, but there was a game on Saturday night that was just equally as beat downish, in my opinion. And that was the Baltimore Ravens.
It wasn't that bad.
Yeah, that was a good game for the first half. But that second half, the Ravens had full control of that ball game. The Ravens pulled out a victory 34-17. Aside from an interception on a missed time play between Lamar Jackson and Bateman, I thought the Ravens played a pretty clean game, to be honest with you. A couple fumbles could have went the other direction as well.
3.
Could have going to be honest, but the Ravens were fortunate enough to get those back in their possession. Other than that, offense, defense, special teams, Justin Tucker didn't show his ugly head. He played clean. He's been good ever since that Philadelphia game. Only a 2-game sample size, so I'm not going to go crazy over anything like that. But at the same time, when you ask this team to go out and beat the Pittsburgh Steelers, something they have not been able to do that often over the last multiple years now. Lamar Jackson, prior to Saturday's game, was 1-4 against the Pittsburgh Steelers. A monkey that many people say he need to get off his back. That was done. Lamar actually tuned out 3 touchdowns on Saturday. But to me, the key was Derrick Henry. Derrick Henry was a bell cow back on Saturday evening. A tune of 160, I think 158, something like that. The man was every down back because he was forced into it, because after Justice Hill went down, he was your 1 option and your 2 option. I think they threw in the third string guy for a couple carries here and there later to give Henry a blow. But for the most part, this was Derrick Henry early and often, and they got him involved in the screen passing game, which he's also effective in that. Lamar was efficient with the football, especially after a couple drives was stalled early. And the defense, we've talked about, yes, no Kenny Pickett, so that changes the formations for the Steelers. They don't have that deep depth, but Austin still plays well for them.
George Pickens.
What I say?
Kenny Pickett.
Dang, I got Kenny Pickett. Yeah, George Pickens, whatever. He went out there, so he couldn't be picked for this game. Anyway, the Ravens, I thought, played a very, very clean game. TJ Watt was on the field, but he was basically kept out of the game. None of those big splash plays that Steelers are typically able to create happened on Saturday, and the Ravens got a good victory. Calvin, what was your thoughts on this matchup? I know you were at the bank as well.
Yeah, like you said, it was a very, very good overall game. Still got to clean up some things. Had 2 fumbles on punt returns. They were, of course, able to recover both of those. Lamar fumbled after, I think I forgot who. I think it was Highsmith that beat Ronnie Stanley like a drum early on and got to Lamar. Once again, he recovered those fumbles. But that's 3 potential turnovers right there. That go along with interception and miscommunication between Bateman and Lamar as well. But overall, the defense played well. I mean, you can't be upset. Hard hitting Darius Washington caused that fumble at the 1 on Russell Wilson. When was the last time we said we had a hard hitting safety that can cause a fumble like that? That was a drop killer. It wasn't Marcus Williams.
Not Marcus Williams, but Geno wasn't bad. I mean,
no. I'm not taking nothing away from Geno. He led the league interceptions, but and then they were able to go down the field and score on that drive. I think that was the
90-yard drive. Yeah,
that was a touchdown pass to Bateman, I believe, in the corner, which was an excellent throw by Lamar. When you go back and look at some of the throws Lamar made to Bateman, the one early on to likely going to the corner, hitting those guys out there routes early, the one to Zay on 3rd and 6.
Would you know that was Bateman's only catch of the game was that touchdown catch?
Yeah.
So don't tell Bateman wasn't healthy that whole game. So it's not like we were at full strength either.
But he fought through it. So I'm happy to say he fought through it. And then like I said, the play to Zay is 3rd and 6. You're backed up to your own 15-20, and you take the deep shot to flip the field and basically end the game right at that point. Because they were only down 12. They were down 2 scores, but it was still early in the 4th. So a great game overall. Still got some stuff to clean up. Penalties were down as well. Happy to see that. Worried about what there probably will be no Justice Hill going in the Wednesday. I doubt he's going to clear concussion protocol in those 2 days. But happy to see an overall good game, especially with that run game, with Derrick Henry being able to carry the ball 24, 25 times because you were only down to him and Ali. Keaton Mitchell was inactive as well, so you knew he had to be out there a little bit more. So you had to rely on him in the pass and in the run. So glad to see that, and glad to see that they were able to, like, if you go back and look at the film, Rosenstein on Watt. I'm not saying Watt was healthy. I completely agree with that. But Rosenstein was able to dominate that matchup, and that's what you have to do when your opponent is not healthy. Now, healthy Watt probably gets a sack, maybe a sack and a half. But however, when he was down with that injury, Rosenstein was able to win that matchup. Very happy. Short turnaround, kind of get to Christmas now.
Yeah.
Oh, right. You guys said all that to say that the reason why you won the game was because the bad play of Russell Wilson. I think he was the whole key to everything. The fact that
well, why did he play bad? That's the question.
No, because it's him. He is not who he thinks he is at time to time, and it showed his face today.
Like a George Pickens, I think.
Wait a second. Can any of y'all remind me of what he did before he went to the NFL?
Played baseball.
He played baseball. So what do you do in baseball? You slide, right? All of a sudden, he forgot how to slide, right?
You go for a touchdown.
You don't. He wasn't going to score. You don't take that hit. You did not necessarily need to score in that particular play. He wanted to go and be Superman, and he got rocked for it. The man was sitting there waiting for him, and that's what happens. That's one. And the interception, Lord, did you not see the man right there next to him? Did you not see Mark?
They ran that play about 3 times at that point, though. So
it was a costly play in which he should have put the ball way better placement than what he did, and that cost him the game. So 2 critical turnovers from Russell Wilson is the game to me. if those plays doesn't happen, the whole outlook of this whole game is completely different both times. So when they needed him to be Superman, when they needed him to be Super Russ, unfortunately he's not that player, and as a result, the defense was there. So it's not like you can't be there, right? You have to be there to make the play. So shout out to the Ravens defense for being there to make the plays when it was available to them. But if Russell plays much better than what he did, now he was throwing some downs out there now. I'm not knocking him. But at the end of the day, in order to beat the Ravens, you have to start to finish, play almost perfect football. And he did not. And every time he did not, the Ravens pretty much took advantage of it. So to me, it was Russell Wilson that caused them the game.
Well, I understand where you're coming from, but I thought it was more so what the Ravens did and not what the Steelers didn't do. Again, without your deep threat, without your big-time playmaker at receiver, I wasn't expecting much from this offense. Hasn't shown us that much all year anyway. And aside from a few big explosive plays against Cincinnati, where they were able to move the ball at will with big plays, and against the Ravens the last time, remember they kicked field goals in the game the last time. At least in this game, they scored 2 touchdowns. The game was close going into halftime. I think the Ravens had a 7-point lead or something like that, or it might have been 17-17 at one point. After Russell Wilson scored a touchdown, threw it to his tight end. So I'm not going to completely put that on Russ. I thought the Ravens did an excellent job with halftime adjustments. Came out, they decided we're going to take away that run game. It will make them one-dimensional. And when you got Calvin Austin as your number one receiver, you really didn't have a second guy. I'm not going to hold that against it. I thought the Ravens did a good job putting good pressure, and they finished every play with tackles. And I think, as has been said many times, the change of putting Darius Washington back at safety, letting Stevens play more in the slot, and Marlon actually was playing outside in this game. If you go look in the film, that was the big change. Marlon loves to play the slot, the nickel cornerback for some reason position, when Marlon needs to be playing where they're putting Stevens at a lot of the time. And they made that change a few times. You saw Stevens in the slot still getting beaten man-to-man sometimes. They didn't have as many penalties as they've been having in previous games, so they played a pretty – I think in the first half, they only had 1 penalty. When the last time you saw the Ravens have 1 penalty in the first half, which really helped a lot. And I thought they put themselves in a lot of manageable downs because they were able to run the football effectively. So I thought the Ravens did a lot of things. But Lamar was also, after a shaky, second quarter wasn't the best. That third quarter and fourth quarter especially, I thought he played outside from that interception, which was they were moving the ball on that drive. Was going in for a score after that big long
and Zay and Light were open on that play.
Look, the pass to Zay over the top might have been my favorite pass of Lamar's all year.
In stride.
Zay caught that thing in stride, was able to stop, stiff arm the guy, step over him. The guy tried to pull his leg. He gets away from. Oh man, I loved it. That was sensational. And again, Bateman was not healthy, so he wasn't much of a factor. I thought they got Likely involved, used both tight ends. Overall, I like when Derrick Henry is on the field the majority of the game. Not saying that it's ideal. We saw what happened to Justice Hill. Wish him well. They activated Keith Mitchell today, so he'll be playing on Christmas. So we'll get to see what he's got. But I still like the idea of giving Henry more touches in the passing game and in the run game. And I think this team is dangerous, man. And again, if they keep this formula with this defense, the sky's the limit, man. The sky is the limit. They just cannot have the costly turnovers. And the offensive line has to keep them out of these 3rd and 12s, 3rd and 15s, because they're getting false starts and holding procedural penalties where guys are not lining up correctly. That is the Ravens' Achilles heel right now. I know a lot of teams are suffering from that, but we're the most penalized team in the NFL for a reason.
And it's not close.
And until they clean up these issues, it's hard to have long-term confidence in this team. But this was a good first step against a division opponent, against a division rival, against a team that's had your number consistently. I can't think anything negative about it. Calvin?
Have you watched the game yet?
Yeah, I watched it.
Did you see the Aaron Andrews report, like early second quarter? She made Brady talking about Roquan, how the defense has gotten better. She chimed in and basically said Roquan said that he's the defense has been better because Kyle Hamilton moved behind the safety.
Well, we already knew that.
No, but the reason when he said he had to do the defensive back calls early in the season, so he had to get everybody lined up, and now Hamilton can get the safeties lined up. I'm like, isn't that saying something about Marcus Williams? That he wasn't able to adjust his defense? But what happened from last year to this year, though? Like, was Mike McDonald really hiding that good, or was Hamilton, or was it Geno really calling the plays back there for Marcus Williams? Like, what was really going on that they were able to hide this last year? It was Geno, or is it McDonald to Zach or what? But that was when I heard.
Well, you gotta also remember Marcus Williams missed long stretches the last 2 years with injury, shoulder, arm. He was in and out of the lineup. He wasn't always. A lot of times,
he was more effective. Even last year, it was just his tackling that was hurting.
But I also thought we had better cornerbacks last year. You missing a couple nickel guys that were more important. You had. I just think overall the cornerback room had more depth last year, and they lost some of that in the offseason. And even Rock U-Sim, a guy people maybe not think it was important as others, but I thought that veteran presence, that's my guy, man. He was a big deal and just film study. I think the addition of Tre'Davious White to that cornerback room has really helped as well. Just knowing guys who can read defenses, who can talk about coverages, and there's another guy to bounce ideas off of. Brandon Stevens, look who your starting corners are. Let's be honest about it. You got a rookie, just first into the league, who is good, who's playing well, but how much experience and how much NFL football has he seen? And you got Brandon Stevens who get beat like a drum every week. I think adding to Tre'Davious White and bringing in some more guys with some more real football playoff experience is really a help. So that's just my thoughts on that. Let's talk about this MVP race, because coming off of Lamar's performance, a lot of people are saying, well, this could put Lamar back in the playoff contention. Will this be something people will be looking at that will give him a leg up on Josh Allen? Well, then we saw on Sunday afternoon, the Buffalo Bills took on the New England Patriots. And by all accounts, Josh Allen was pretty mediocre in that football game. I mean, it was more of a running back James Cook game. He threw one touchdown with a floater over the top to James Cook. He wasn't effective through an interception. One touchdown, one interception. Didn't really run the ball well. New England played them pretty tight most of the ball game. They squeaked away with a victory at the end. Did Josh Allen, and he hurt his hand in the second half of that game. Will this be a situation where Josh doesn't put up Herculean efforts, and because he's not playing against any great competition, that he will lose this MVP race down the stretch? Or have people already decided that the race is over and the title is going to Josh Allen? Justin, your thoughts?
The race is over and the title's going to Josh Allen. That hand injury is a re-injury. They said that he had that injury since like game 1. So they already putting the narrative out there that he played the whole entire season with a bad hand. Like I said, they are making every excuse for him to get it. And he just has to pretty much lose games and play like he played in order for him to lose it, in my opinion. So it's going to be very hard for Lamar to catch him. And it shouldn't be that way. But like I said, you have to worry about voters fatigue. You have to worry about the fact that he has another, I wouldn't say MVP, but let's say offensive player of the year candidate on Lamar's team, which is Derrick Henry. You don't have that in Buffalo. So that's why he's always going to have an extra head up on Lamar Jackson. So it is still Josh Allen's to lose. We saw what he's capable of doing. He still put up 6 touchdowns in a losing effort. It's going to be those kind of things that's going to push him past. And like I said, he only has 2 more games. So as long as he doesn't lose, it's not an issue. It's not a problem.
Yeah, I agree with Justin. The narrative is already there. We've already talked about with Josh Allen, the lack of talent, quote unquote, around him, the injuries. So that's all being built in to build him up to this MVP, quote unquote, level. I don't even think he has to win out. I think he has to win Sunday, because I don't think he's going to play week 18, because there's nothing for them to gain, and they can't catch number 1. They can't fall to 3. So I don't even think he plays next week. I think he plays this week against the Jets. If they win that ball game, he's the MVP. Now, if they lose, I think it opens up the window for Lamar, but then he has to lose again next week, because they could still be the number 2 seed with a win next week, because the only team I think that can catch them is Baltimore. But for Baltimore to catch them, they have to win out, and the Bills have to lose out. But I think this is Josh Allen's to lose. I think the narrative is built in. It's tired of seeing Lamar win MVP. It's saying he's only doing things because of the help around him. And we're talking about the lack of talent around Josh Allen, even though they traded for Amari Cooper when they had even less talent, even though he has 2 tight ends like the Ravens, even though he has a great running back, not Derrick Henry, but he has a great running back, even though he has receivers and Shakir and Coleman. No one talks about that. It's just what he doesn't have, what he lost last year, and Stephon Diggs. So I don't think the door is closed, but I think it's going to take a lot for anyone. Well, I think the only person that can catch him is Lamar, because the Philadelphia Eagles lost. But I don't think the door is shut, but I think it will be shut with the win this week, because Josh Allen will not play week 18 because they have nothing to gain. So, and there's nothing Lamar can do, in my opinion, to jump Josh Allen. It's going to rely on the teams that the Buffalo Bills play to beat him in order for him to win the MVP. So, the margin is slim, 95% if you want to put a percentage on it, but I think this is Josh Allen's to lose, and I think all he has to do is win ball games. He doesn't have to put up stats; he just has to win ball games, or win a ball game, I should say.
Yeah, I really don't care, honestly. It's just a talking point that people have been having. I'm not worried about no MVPs. We trying to win a championship in Baltimore, so let's move on. Christmas Day schedule's coming up. Christmas is this Wednesday. We wish you all a happy holiday. The 2 games are on the docket involving the teams we've kind of been talking about a little bit. The Baltimore Ravens will face the Texans at 4:30. But to start the day, the Kansas City Chiefs will go to Pittsburgh to take on the Steelers, a big matchup for both of these teams in the AFC North. After coming off of this game where the Steelers lost on Saturday, now the Chiefs, who defeated the Texans on Saturday and looked pretty good. You know, last week we were talking about Patrick Mahomes. Should they rest him? Is he injured? Well, he came out on the first drive, was running around like nothing was wrong, and looked pretty effective. I thought that was probably the Chiefs' best win of the year, to be honest with you. They looked the most dominant. Offense looked most efficient, and the defense was back on track. Now they go to Pittsburgh to take on the Steelers team. It looks like that George Pickens is on track to probably play in that game. We'll see. Hamstrings are funny. I'm sure they'll work him out. He'll do everything he can to get on that Christmas stage on Christmas Day. Let's start with that game first. Justin, your thoughts, and the Chiefs Steelers. What's your thoughts on that ball game? You're muted.
I knew that. I think the Chiefs are going to win this game. I think the Chiefs are going to prove that they are head and shoulders above everybody else. The league just they weathered the storm to get a full complement of players. Although the offensive line is still shaky at best. With that being said, you still have D-Hop. Now you have Hollywood. Now you have an Xavier Worthy who's going to play third receiver. It's pretty much come out the slot. So you have the fastest player in the draft coming out the slot now. That makes a difference. Isaiah Pacheco, this is his second or third week back. Then you still have Kareem Hunt backing him up. They're starting to have their full complement of players to go along with Travis Kelce and the Noahs of the world. It's on Patrick Mahomes to win these games now. It's a simple process. He has one game to win, and he's going to probably set out the last game of the season going to the playoffs as the number 1 seed. The whole entire league had a shot at the Kansas City Chiefs, and they failed. They all failed except for Buffalo. At the end of the day, that's what matters. So this is not totally about Kansas City. I just think that they see this game as, we win this game, we can coast the rest of the way. We got nice week to 2 weeks off. That's what they see. So I think they're going to come in focus, and I just don't think the Steelers are going to do enough. I figured they was going to lose this game anyway. So this is a game they're going to lose, and unfortunately, that's like, 2-3 in a row. So, I feel bad I don't feel bad for Pittsburgh, but this is just what's going to happen.
Calvin.
2 weeks ago, I said I wouldn't be surprised if Pittsburgh Steelers lose their last 4 weeks of the season. They're already 0-2. I think they're going to go 0-3 on Wednesday. It's Kansas City. Kansas City's getting healthy. Now the defense is starting to get bit by the injury bug. But once you get through this game, you can rest week 18, and you have the bye week, the wild card weekend of the playoffs. So I think Kansas City goes out and beats this Pittsburgh team. When you go back and look at this Pittsburgh defense from last week, they got shredded by Lamar Jackson, Derrick Henry. I think Kansas City could do something similar. You got a 2-headed monster in Kareem Hunt and Pacheco. You have Hollywood Brown with fresh legs. Park Heights Brown with fresher legs coming back as well. This offense may be rounding the shape. Now, they still haven't scored 30, I think it's 31 points this year. I'm not saying they're going to do that because I think the Ravens offense is still a notch ahead. But like, it may not be needed. So I got Kansas City winning this ball game, and I got them clinching #1 seed in Pittsburgh on Wednesday afternoon.
Yeah, I agree. I'll complete that. Honestly, it does come down to what the ball control offense of Kansas City is able to do against that Steelers defense. We don't know the status of some of the players on Pittsburgh's defense, including the young cornerback who they do like, who gets a lot of
Joey
penalties,
Porter
and Joey Porter Jr. So we'll see if he's back on the field. But also some of those playmakers, again, Watt's health. Is it back to 100%? He didn't look like himself. I know he was insistent on playing on Saturday, and you would think he would be able to make a couple plays, but you could just tell his burst wasn't the same. And I'm not going to give all that credit to the Ravens offensive line for making that happen. I just think the Chiefs are getting warm at the right time. I ain't saying they hot, but they're getting warm at the right time. And if Mahomes can stay healthy, again, the game changer would be if Watt is healthy. If Watt was at full strength, with Highsmith, and those guys are coming off the edges and able to get to Mahomes and making a long afternoon. A strip sack here or there can make this a tight game. So I'm not counting the Steelers out by any means, especially at home. We know once Renegades start playing and the Steelers crowd start getting into it, especially a 1:00 game on Christmas. I don't know. I would, if this is the over under, I'm taking the under for sure. But definitely thinking that this is going to be an important game for both teams in the AFC North. They're still fighting for the division crown. Let's move over to that 4:30 game. The Ravens travel to Houston. And in this particular ball game, I think the Ravens have everything to play for, and they have to bring that A game. I think Houston has a lot that they need to bring to the table. That injury to Tank Dell was probably one of the most saddest injuries we've seen in a while. With the tears in the eyes of C.J. Stroud and everybody just feeling terrible. And I just think the offensive firepower losing a player like that has on a team can be, very detrimental. But you still got Nico Collins. This will be the best receiver the Ravens will have seen in a few weeks here since taking on A.J. Brown. I like to see what type of coverages they play on him. Is Diggs playing in this game? What would they? He's not playing. Okay, so yeah, we'll see. I mean, the run game is still we're very familiar with the running game in Houston. The defensive line, they get a lot of sacks in Houston. Lamar will have to be smart with the football. I thought he took some very, very smart decisions to just run, even if he didn't get a lot of yards on Saturday. I just thought positive yardage was helpful against the Steelers. He took what the defense gave him a lot, and he'll need to do that against that Houston defense again. Because if you look at that Kansas City game last week, what Patrick Mahomes was able to do is just dink and dunk. And that's what Lamar has to live at. Don't try to take the deep shot all the time. Take what the defense gives you. Extend long drives. Take that long drive to extend the game. And just take what the defense gives you, walk down the field, and neutralize that pass rush. And I think the Ravens will win on Saturday. Calvin, what's your thoughts?
I think that game last Saturday really turned at that injury point
Wednesday.
of Tank Dell.
Wednesday.
at that injury of Tank Dell, because you saw right after they carried him off, they went ahead and missed the extra point, and they basically would have tied the game. So I don't know if they can bounce back in 4 days. I believe he's still in Kansas City as well to this point, preparing to have surgery. So I know they did sign. Well, they basically swapped receivers, and Deontay Johnson went to Houston. I forgot who came to Baltimore. Their punt returner,
like something like that. Some guy who's not that good. Yeah,
he was basically that punt returner at a point, which makes sense with the 2 fumbles. But I have the Ravens win this game. This could potentially be a playoff preview, depending on how things shake up. It could be the 4-5 matchup back again in Houston in a couple of weeks. So I think you got to take this game seriously, and you got to prepare for it, because you could see this team again. And this is also the 3rd time you've seen this team, within the last year as well. You played them week 1 last year and in the divisional round. Now you've seen them again. So I do think they have an added element of Derrick Henry. They actually, if Bateman is healthy, you have that element as well. He's the best route runner on the team. Defense is playing well. It is in Houston, but once again, it's a short week, but it's a short week for both teams. So I think the Ravens are the better team and the healthier team to this point. So I expect them to win on Wednesday.
I expect the Ravens to win by at least 2 to 3 touchdowns. I think they're going to utterly destroy this Houston, Texas team.
Is that disrespectful, Houston?
Yes. They're not at a position to. You are playing in a short week. We already understand that. However, when you play on a short week, you need 7 full days to prepare for Lamar Jackson, and they don't have that time. There's
but
no
they played him 3 times though.
I could care less how many times you played him. You need up to
and
date.
They played him with Derrick Henry,
and the fact that you have that bell cow right behind him, pause, that's going to pretty much do whatever he wants because no one can really stop him in the whole league. This is a problematic spot. It's more so the spot for Houston, Texas. We already understand what happened with the Tank Dell. You understand that they're an emotional team. They're not going to be ready for this game. And the Ravens are firing pretty much on all cylinders right now. So they're the freight train right now that's coming down the tracks. And they got a Texans that's sitting right there that's emotionally staggered right now. And they know that they don't have to win 100%. The Colts probably won't catch them.
No. I don't think that's. They ain't falling back. They ain't falling past 6. Past 5, I'm sorry.
They locked in.
That's what I'm saying. They locked in. So it's not that, we got to win every game. We got to win out. Nah. They know where they're at, and they have a freight train at the Baltimore Ravens. Like I said, 3 touchdowns.
Wow. Okay. Hey, I love your confidence, and I'll ride it with you. All right. Next up, we got to talk about this Washington-Philly game from Sunday. Wow. Just wow. You talking about a turn. I think Philly was up 21-7 at halftime. They were coasting, looking good, forcing turnovers. Saquon had run for like a 60, 70-yard touchdown. Everything was going right until it happened. Because, look, I don't care what nobody say, as great as Jaden Daniels was and all that, they had 5 turnovers and able to overcome it because Jalen Hurts got hurt. Like, Jalen Hurts not being on that team. And I'm not taking anything away from the backup quarterback. I can't think of his name right now. And what he was able to do. Kenny Pickett. That's what I was thinking about earlier. That's what I was thinking about earlier. Yeah. That's why he's on my mind. Not taking nothing away from him, but the offense is completely different when Jalen Hurts is running that offense. We've seen against Pittsburgh. We've seen against Baltimore where Philly will possess the ball for damn near entire quarters because you just don't know what to protect. Jalen can take off with his legs. He can hand it off to Saquon. Dick and dunk. He can pass the A.J. Brown passer. And it's just the way that these receivers are in sync with him, and he's able to run that ball. But once he went down, and this game had to be turned over to Kenny Pickett to run, and Washington's defensive front started stepping up and stopping Saquon because now you can sell out just to worry about now we stop him and we good because we know Jalen ain't there to run no more. So we know all we got to do is game plan for the the running back, Saquon. They would run blitzing the whole game, leaving guys one-on-one, and they weren't trusting that Kenny Pickett was going to be able to get it done. That being said, it still came down to the end where if Devontae Smith holds on to that catch, it's a game. It's over. The game is over. That left the door open and left the opportunity for Washington to go down the field and get the go-ahead touchdown with under 10 seconds left. Shout out to the Commanders for not quitting. Shout out to the team, Dan Quinn, for having that team focused the entire 60 minutes and for getting a victory. Congratulations to Washington. But this was definitely not something that I'm just going to say, they won because they were the better team. There were reasons. Calvin, your thoughts?
Look, I understand and I agree with most of what you said. I look at this game a little bit differently. This Philadelphia defense that was number 1 against the pass gave up 36 points, and then he was 5 touchdowns, correct? 5 passing touchdowns.
A lot of that happened after C.J. Gardner-Johnson went out.
You're right.
That's your best corner.
That's fine. You leave your best corner. Gave up 36 points. To the pass. They gave up 36 points, and they gave up 22 in the fourth quarter. Now, granted, at that point, it was they were down, and all I could do was pass, but you couldn't sustain runs to get first downs. And even late, you had a chance, like you mentioned, to hit Devontae Smith for a first down that would have basically ended the game, and you were not able to do that. Now you've lost your chance at number 1 seed. You may have lost your quarterback for next week. You can lose the division now at this point because Washington can technically still win the division. You're probably going to be, a 2 seed? And do I like your chances of playing against a 7 seed in the playoffs, knowing that Jalen Hurts may not be healthy in a couple? I don't know, but look, I don't think this could have come in a worse time or a worse game could have happened for Philadelphia. Shot Washington, Jaden Daniels locked up Rookie of the Year. I don't at this point is locked up, is done. You can give him the award right now. We ain't got it no longer. Just everything that he was able to do on Sunday at home, rejuvenating that franchise. They got their franchise quarterback down I-95, and the Commanders came into place yesterday.
Justin?
It's something about JD5, and it's refreshing to see. You can see even when they're down, they don't believe that they're out. You can see the mannerisms amongst the team when he's playing versus other teams when other quarterbacks are playing. It's only a small set of guys that can still maintain that. Yo, we might be down, but yo, we ain't out. Just let's ride this thing out. Like trust your boy. I got it. That's JD5. And he has it as a rookie. That's impressive to say the least.
Yeah.
I love his running style. His running style reminds me of is not the level, but it reminds me of Lamar Jackson when I feel like he can just kind of walk. It feel like he's walking fast and other people can't catch him.
Yeah, he's not running hard
he's not running hard like if you see a Vic, you can see his legs going fast. Clearly he's like putting forth.
Or Kyler Murray.
Kyler Murray, correct, as in a current example. JD5 and Lamar Jackson, when they get the scrambling in between the pockets and going, it's like, everyone else is in slow motion versus them, right? Yeah. Lamar just has that extra gear. They don't have that extra gear.
And you kind of get mad, like, bro, you can go a little faster if you want to. Like,
But like I said, it was it's refreshing to see on that side. Philadelphia, they got some issues. But I think a game plan with Kenny Pickett with that team around him, I think they'll be fine. I heard what you're saying, Calvin, and you make great points. But at the same time, this is a well-oiled machine all the way through, right? We was kind of saying maybe the problem was Jalen Hurts a little bit early. I know he quit. He squashed a lot of that. But at the end of the day, if Kenny Pickett can stay just above average with those weapons that they have, they'll be just fine.
Yeah, you got to catch the ball, and that's not like Devontae Smith. That's a Heisman Trophy winner. That guy's a catcher.
2 shots
at the football. Yeah, you can't do that. Next up,
slide. Damn, why we not sliding no more? Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Because even JD5 could have got killed on one of them too. Let's be honest. But like you say, he runs right up and down like Gail says or something like that. The big game happened at 4:00 was the Minnesota Vikings defeated the Seattle Seahawks in overtime. This was a fun game to watch. Yeah. I will give Geno some sort of grace. That last interception, I get it. He was saying that DK ran the wrong route. He laid it out closer to the sideline, which you're supposed to do. And for some reason, DK broke his route off and came inside. And they left it right there for the corner. But look, they had a chance. You got the ball, go down, get the job done, finish them off, but you couldn't do it. You're at home. They give the Minnesota Vikings all the credit in the world. Sam Darnold played a clean game. Sam Darnold was throwing that ball. That pass to Justin Jefferson down the left rail. Oh my God. Over the shoulder. He sent it to the outside like you're supposed to, where he could go and put his body, oh my God, just so much body lean on that catch. Justin Jefferson, look, Jamar Chase right now is having one of the statistically best seasons of any wide receiver in history. He's leading the league in catches. yards and touchdowns from the
But
receiver
you
position.
feel without a shadow of a doubt, Justin is better.
He's still better. I'm sorry. He's just to me, he's just better. Like the guy, like you still got Joe Burrow as your quarterback.
Yeah,
This guy got
that
Sam
accounts for
Darnold
something.
and Kirk
That accounts
Cousins.
for
I'm
something.
sorry, man. Like, look, when we seen with Kirk Cousins, I'm not taking nothing away from Kirk, but Justin Jefferson just make you look a little bit better. I don't care what nobody say.
Yeah.
And geez, man, he can make something out of nothing. And man, what a phenomenal performance. What's your thoughts on this matchup and what it means for the Vikings? I know you've been on them for a while, Justin.
Just another notch under their belt. They need to consistently play high level teams to prove to everyone else that they are legit playoff team, and that's what they're doing. They are priming themselves for the Detroit Lions matchup that's coming. If not next week, the week after.
Big matchup.
And it's just Minnesota just has they just have it right now. Whatever you want to call it, they have it. Brian Flores is in that defense is playing lights out. You went way too fast with that slide. You ain't had to show that slide to throw me off. But I'm gonna keep on flowing, right? Because this is what we do. Justin Jefferson is proving that he's the guy yet again. And just wait till they start throwing. As soon as you double in on their wide receivers, they're gonna start highlighting Aaron Jones out the backfield. TJ, their tight end TJ, that he's gonna start dominating. So
Hockenson.
Thank you. So they're gonna be a problem. They're gonna be a problem for whoever plays them in the playoffs, because they are just a balanced team with superstars on said team. That's always a problem.
Calvin.
Oh God. I had faith in Seattle in this matchup, but like you said, Justin Jefferson makes Sam Darnold look so good. You can't take a sack on that last drive when they missed that field goal. You can't take a sack knowing you need a field goal. And that field goal, that sack basically made it look like a 60-yard field goal, and it wasn't close. Mm-hmm. And at that point, the game was over. So you got to have better pocket awareness, Gino. I mean, you're fighting against a great team, arguably number one team in the NFC. It was just too much Minnesota. And then some of those blown coverages. How can you leave Justin Jefferson open for a touchdown? A long 45-yard touchdown?
They schemed that up. He's the
best receiver in the league in most cases, and you're leaving him no safety over the top. So it was just a number of errors on Seattle's part, and you can't commit that many errors against a great team like Minnesota. That's what it comes down to.
All right, next up, we definitely had to talk about this. And I wanted to put it earlier, but I said, look, of all the games, we definitely have to finish. If we're going to highlight a game, it has to be from Sunday night. And that was between the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, who were the leaders in the clubhouse in the NFC South coming into this matchup. All they had to do was win, and they probably had a nice cushioning lead, leading with 2 games left. That they lost 2 games earlier this year to the Falcons, so the Falcons own the tiebreaker. So this was definitely a game that the Buccaneers needed. Going to Dallas, a place where a lot of people have had success, and unfortunately, the Cowboys were able to get a victory over the Buccaneers. Baker Mayfield, I didn't think he played terrible. You didn't see those second quarter turnovers like we've been talking about the last several weeks. But overall, the Cowboys offense was able to move that ball against the Buccaneers defense, and they just got to win on the road, and, can't take nothing away from them. Calvin, you're a Cowboys fan. I'll start with you. What was your thoughts on your team's fight down the stretch?
This team decided to fight once they were eliminated from playoff competition, as they were early in that day. So they put up a fight when nothing was at stake. Go get a better draft pick. I've said this for the last 3-4 weeks. You're fighting, and now all of a sudden the whole entire coach staff is coming back. This is just bad news after bad news. You're losing playoff positioning, and now you're bringing Mike McCarthy back for another year, the same BS. Y'all keep it. Don't even matter.
Justin?
Despite what he's saying, the Cowboys, including last night, they had won the last 4 out of the last 5 games. I felt something was in the water. I'm not even gonna lie to you. I've even with Washington winning, I'm like, if they get a glimmer of hope, they're not going to pack it in. They're going to perform, and they have superstars on the team. And I just didn't want the game to be up for grabs like that. And that's what happened. CD came out and showed that he was still a top tier receiver. Cooper Rush. Cooper Rush saw the rush, and he just threw it to. See, that's the thing with blitzing, right? Either you're going to get to him. See, we got to Justin Herbert the week before. He couldn't pick up the defense properly. I understood. But when the person is showing you that, hey, if you blitz me a certain way, I am going to throw it up. I'm not afraid of it. Then you need to change up your plan. We don't. We are very stubborn with it. And, sometimes it works. Most of the time it's not for some reason. But it is what it is. But when I say that their secondary made great plays, they made great plays. That is the Dallas Cowboys secondary. We had a shot to McMillan, Jalen McMillan, and the defender literally took the ball from his hands as he was coming down, similar to Tyreek when he a couple weeks ago when he had that interception pretty much taken from his hands, similar to Justice Hill.
DaRon Bland made that play, didn't he?
Not that play. DaRon Bland made the next play, which I'm going to bring up, in which Rashard, after Baker Mayfield was making one of those highlights in which all you got to do is just hold on to the ball. Baker Mayfield just dragging Dallas defenders, linemen at his feet. And Rashard White, all you had to do was just tuck it, brother. He did not. DaRon Bland made that play, and that was the play that ended it off. So they just made they wanted him more than us, and that's not a good look.
So now the door has been left open as the Falcons started a rookie quarterback in Penix Jr. On Sunday, and he didn't look impressive. Let's be honest, but they got the win. Sometimes that's all that matters. And especially when you're in playoff contention, you want to see some change. You want to see a spark, and maybe putting him in at quarterback is the spark that the Falcons needed. Again, they were playing the Giants, so let's slow down with
good opponent to play.
The excitement. But again, agreed. If that's going to be your first game, you want a tomato can to go in there and kick down the road. And I thought they did a good job of using Bijan, letting the game come to them, and they were able to put a lot of points on the board, even though a lot of them were at his hand. A win is a win. And in the division where now you're tied with the Buccaneers, and all you got to do is handle your business, and you're in the playoffs. That was a big win. Calvin, what's your thoughts?
Yeah, a huge win for Atlanta. They're able to win, and they're able to regain control of that division. But as a rookie quarterback, you can't throw that interception off Kyle Pitts' hands. You got to know better than that than to throw it at Kyle Pitts and let him fumble the ball into a defender for an interception. If that's your first interception as a pro, you gotta be Michael Penix Jr. But Atlanta had a chance to acclimate him at home against an inferior opponent, and now the road gets a little bit tougher because now you have to match whatever Tampa Bay does in order to win a division and make the playoffs. Because you're most likely not getting a wild card seed. So we'll see where it goes from here. And this is the future in Atlanta, and the future is now in Michael Penix Jr.
And if you look at it, next week they go to Washington. And then they finish
Sunday night or Monday Night Football, 1 or 2?
I think it's Sunday night. And then they finish the season against the Carolina Panthers. So it's not exactly an easy road. That game is in Atlanta. So they will definitely probably need to win at least one of these games. Tampa, on the other hand, Tampa has the Saints the last game of this season.
And then the Panthers next week.
Yeah, Panthers next week. So I still give the Buccaneers the edge, even though Panthers had a tough game yesterday. They played tough yesterday, came up short, but Panthers have been scrappy here lately, so it's not exactly a layup. They were able to defeat the Cardinals yesterday, which the Cardinals needed that game. It's not like it was a game where the Panthers decided, we're going to lay down. No, put up points, won in overtime, a good win for Carolina. Yeah, so Trooper been cooking. I mean, won me a parlay yesterday, so good on him. But so this won't be easy, a cake roll with the NFC South down the stretch. So again, wasn't a lot of marquee matchups this past weekend, but I thought that Thursday's night's game, the Denver Broncos and the Chargers, was also a very, very good game, very important in the AFC AFC West. The Chargers were able to get a big victory against the Denver Broncos. And look, you got to give Coach Harbaugh credit. Coach Harbaugh is coming in year one and really turned that Chargers team into a playoff team. They in the playoffs if the playoffs have started right now, and I think they comfortably could be in the playoffs too. Again, this was a team that lost a lot of key players that have been what we've known the Chargers to be over the last several years. And then they lost J.K. Dobbins a few weeks ago, and we saw Gus Edwards out there on Thursday getting some big chunk runs. They were able to get some plays out of McConkey. They was able to get some plays out of some receivers you probably never heard of. And by hook or by crook, Coach Harbaugh got these Chargers in the playoffs like I thought he would before the season started. Calvin, I know you were a doubter. I know you said that there's no way this team can make it in after losing all the players they lost. What's your thoughts?
Yeah, look, good coaching and a good running game, at least with J.K. Dobbins led the division. Not going. They won the games they should supposed to win. They played tough in the division, and look at them now. They're going to make the playoffs most likely. I'm sorry. They already clinched the playoff spot, correct?
They clinched a wild card, I believe.
So look, when you have a quarterback that's hard to battle right there. He was able to make do with the weapons that he has, but more importantly, that running game was played very well for the most part of the season. The defense held his own. They've beaten some tough opponents, and they've outscored tough opponents. They outscored Cincinnati a couple weeks ago at home, so they were able to put up some points. Surprised, yes, but this team fought hard and deserve it.
Justin?
That was a nice win for them. I'm not even knocking that. But when you comes to these matchups, it was only one thing that I was looking forward to, and it was the fallout with the Jets and the Rams. And now you have Garrett Wilson pretty much saying like, there's issues here, and it's not my fault. You have Aaron Rodgers and saying that, hey, we clearly see, we're not necessarily making the playoffs, but we're going to ride this thing out, and we're going to see who's on board and who's not.
And none of three of them be there next year.
But in order to see who's on board, you were supposed to have been on board from day one, in which you weren't. So it's the drama for the Jets is just ongoing. It's just a cycle. And now Garrett was like, "Yo, get me up out of here, man! Like this is not. I'd rather have Zach Wilson. That's a problem." Now he didn't say that, but he's basically saying that right now.
Yeah.
So that's definitely something that I was just finding entertaining as a fallout to that game when they scored 9 points with no punts. How do you score 9 points with no punts?
A lot of turnovers. Calvin, any other games jumped out to you from the weekend?
I'm surprised you didn't go on your Miami San Francisco game just because you're a Miami fan, but they finally put that last stake in the coffin for San Francisco. I think it's interesting to see where they go from here. Do you pay Brock Purdy? You know what the going rate for a quarterback is. You already have salary cap situations. You got Trent Williams coming back. You just paid Ayuk, and McCaffrey's still on your books. Trent Williams is on your books. Bosa's on your books. Like, what do you pay Purdy? Do you go out and get Sam Darnold? Do you trade for J.J. McCarthy, which I think is a possibility as well? I think it's so many questions in San Francisco for them to get back to the point where they were, which is a Super Bowl contender, because I just don't know where they go from here, because I don't think Brock Purdy has showed you he may not be that guy. You expected more from him as everyone started to get injured and as the offense started to rely on him. Is he that guy? But on the other hand, with Miami, they're still alive. They still need some help to get into the playoffs. I think they have the best odds to get in at this point between Indianapolis and Cincinnati. I know Cincinnati needs both of them who's going forward. I think if they get in, now granted, they're going to have to go to Buffalo most likely, and they don't do well in cold weather. However, there's a chance. And I think Miami, with a healthy Tua, with those weapons that they have, if they can get on the same accord, not having Tyreek drop touchdown passes, they may have a chance.
Yeah, but wouldn't that be assuming that I think it's the wild cards right now would be one from the AFC North and possibly two from the West. Is that assuming that Denver doesn't make it?
Yes.
Okay.
I think Denver loses this week to Cincinnati, so that's why I don't have.
Oh, okay. Interesting. I don't know about that. I know a lot of people love Cincinnati and they think that they have the inside track on that last playoff spot or banking on it. But I don't know. Because right now you got Denver and the Chargers sitting at 9-6. Neither one of them have the tie break over Denver is going to the Chargers right now. Denver sitting at 7 and 9-6. Indianapolis, Miami, and the Bengals are all 7 and 8. So that's an assumption that Broncos are going to lose the next 2 games.
Yes, Broncos has to lose out. If they win one, it's a wrap for Cincinnati.
Yeah, they win one, but they play Cincinnati this week, and then they play Kansas City. Now you can say the Kansas City game may not matter to Kansas City.
Yeah,
that's correct. But do you think? I think who's that back? Do you think? I think it's Carson Wentz. Do you think Carson Wentz can lead that team against Denver in Kansas City?
A bad backup to have.
It's not bad. It's not bad. And that game might not be in Kansas City. I think it might be in Denver.
Might be in Denver. Okay.
Yeah, I think that game is in. Yep, it's in Denver.
Okay.
Yep, on January 5th. So
and that'll probably be that's not going to be the last game of the season. It's going to be Detroit and Minnesota.
Yeah,
because that'll probably be for number 1.
But that's interesting. Detroit didn't look bad. Actually, looked pretty damn good. The week after everybody had them dead and buried, but they were also playing the Bears. So let's get into our power rankings. Just go over this. I know Green Bay's playing tonight. They're dominating 24-0, so we should take that into account.
Is this going to be the first week we all have the same 7 teams?
I'm very interested to see that because here's just an update for anybody who needed last week's power rankings. Let's see where we from. But somebody's music is playing.
It's yours.
All righty. Did y'all hear it?
It cut out and just I heard nothing for a minute.
Okay, good. All right. So just a preview. I mean, a look back at what everybody's power rankings was from last week. So let's get into our list from this week. So we started with Calvin last week. Justin, I'll start with you this week. What was your number 17 coming into this week? I mean, for this week after what we saw last week.
Number 7, heading into this next upcoming joint, Baltimore Ravens.
So the Ravens have come back into your power rankings at number 7.
And
okay.
With you saying that, I'll just say we don't all have the same teams.
You don't have the Ravens. I'm not saying another word. I'm not saying another word. Justin, number 6 for you.
You say Green Bay just is dominating?
They were up 24 last time I checked. Okay, 24.
All right, let's stay with that. Number 6.
Green Bay Packers at number 6. Who do you have at number 5?
Philadelphia.
Philadelphia Eagles at number 5. All right, let's pause there for a second.
1 to 5.
That's a big drop. Let's pause there for a second.
You lost your starting quarterback.
Now, do you have an update on his prognosis to believe that far of a drop?
We are week to week.
They don't play Sunday, do they? Play Sunday, right?
I believe they play Sunday.
Okay.
So let's pause there, and I'd like to do half and half. So, Calvin, give me your number 17 in your power rankings.
I got Washington at number 7.
You have Washington. Okay.
You really dropped Philly from 1 to 5.
All right, who you got at number?
It's gonna start.
I got Green Bay at 6.
Green Bay at 6. Who's at number 5?
I got Philly at 5.
Wow, y'all did the same thing. You talking shit?
I'm just talking. I did the same
thing. All right. For me, I think this is pretty self-explanatory. Now, I have to be honest with you. I'm more impressed with the Washington win. Green Bay, it's a good team. I'm not taking that away from them, but they're number 7 on my power rankings. I'm going with Washington at number 6. And this is just me. I know this might be a disrespectful thing or whatever like that, but I'm keeping the Kansas City Chiefs right where they at on my list. Okay. Boom. Who you got at number 4, Justin?
Number 4. Man, those 4 teams right there, man. Man, we week to week with this thing, but we're gonna put Yeah, Detroit look good too, man. I ain't gonna lie to you. Detroit look good. Oh man.
A week removed.
Let's go with Minnesota. That was a good victory.
You start thinking about this?
We gotta shake some things up. I'm not happy with Buffalo how they played Buffalo.
Yeah, it's a big drop, but it's a drop that's necessary. All right, Calvin, who you got?
I got Minnesota.
Disrespectful.
I got them in my top 4. Like, what are we doing?
I'm going with the Detroit Lions. All right, Justin, who you got next?
Going with Detroit.
Detroit. Calvin?
Yeah, I'm going Detroit.
See, y'all are way high on Kansas City than I am, man. That's I just can't do it. I'm going with the Buffalo Bills. Justin?
Minnesota.
Mm-hmm. Calvin?
KC.
I'm going with the Minnesota Vikings. And final team for you is the Kansas City Chiefs, Justin?
Tampa is Kansas City.
Buffalo Bills at number 1, Calvin?
Yeah, they won.
After beating the Patriots?
Look,
they in won. Unimpressive fashion?
They won a game. I buy into some of they weren't trying to show anything. I buy into some of it.
They weren't trying to show anything.
I buy into some of it. I don't buy into the fact because you still haven't gotten Amari Cooper acclimated to the offense. But at the end of the day, that they won, and it wasn't after that first quarter. I don't think it was anything that New England did to try to win that ball game. And as a matter of fact, I think they're trying to secure their draft positioning more so. So I don't think you can accurately grade a performance like that when the team is, I don't want to say trying to lose, but they're not trying to put their best foot forward.
Understood.
All right, let me be honest. I don't believe in my 7. I don't. So I'm going where I want to go.
Shit. What are we doing here?
So
you should have had straight for your conviction from jump.
That is true. So who are you moving out?
The Green Bay Packers. I don't care about them.
Wow.
I have no.
They about to play for the division next week. What's that? Yeah, they play Detroit next week. Oh, I'm sorry, they play Minnesota. Minnesota next week.
The Ravens look good, man. And honestly, I gotta put them there, and I put them there.
It's a lot of switching.
That's how I feel.
I
gotta truly feel.
7 teams. I thought we was gonna have the same 7 teams.
Nah,
I didn't think. I honestly, Baltimore.
I have to put Washington in there because I had him in there last week, and that's a good win over Philly. But then I also don't not dock Philly that much for that loss because they were dominating that game until they lost their quarterback, and I don't think Jalen Hurts going to be gone out that long.
So Baltimore beats the Steelers, and Calvin, you don't have them in your top 7?
No, I got them just
outside.
And
I think if they beat Houston, they going up another spot.
If they beat Houston, I was a playoff team, then yes, I'll depending on what else happens because Minnesota or Detroit has to lose. So maybe depending on how that matchup goes, maybe you fall out the top 7.
But
we'll see what happens with Philadelphia.
Is they lost to Philly. That was their last loss. Philly a great team. I think I got Philly as the best team in the league. So I can't dock them that much to losing to Philly. And you go out and beat Pittsburgh and Houston back to back. I mean, they ain't done it yet, but I'm just saying, I can't just jump from out of my top 7 to now they one of the best teams in the league. If I don't acknowledge that that's coming, it's coming. You see it coming. The train is coming downhill. You had the Denver Broncos.
Gavin won't be outside the joint to like number 3.
You had the Denver Broncos in your list, a team that you just said have an outside probably a chance they want to make the playoffs.
They lost last week, right? So they're not in my top 7. They lost last week.
They've lost to every good team they've played all year. That was the point.
They lost last week. They're still in the playoffs, and they lost last week to a Chargers team. So now I don't have them above the Chargers or the Ravens. So they're borderline top 10 right now for me.
Yeah.
And I didn't even include. I don't see how. The game's not over, but you have Green Bay's win, whatever they do tonight. They're up 24-0. That's not impressive enough to be in your top 7.
Yeah, that's wild.
Who am I taking out?
You should never took them out.
But who am I taking out? Be honest.
They were already there.
But whose work? I don't think is their win is earns them enough impressive points over the Saints than the Ravens did over the Pittsburgh Steelers in dominating fashion.
But they're not just winning against the Saints. They're
dominating them. Yeah.
But again, I only could put 7 in. Am I taking the Vikings out? No. Am I taking the Eagles out? No. Am I taking the Lions out? No. Am I taking the Bills out? No. Am I taking the Chiefs out? No. I think legitimately, my 7 is the best 7 in the league.
So you don't look at that Philly victory or Philly loss like it's anything because you dropped Philly from 1 to 2.
Yeah. But I had Washington in my top 7 last week. It's not like I just put Washington in.
I understand, but I thought they would be closer together at this point. You look at it like
I can justifiably say that yes, they did win, but there are reasons they won. But I still think
if Jalen Hurts was healthy, the game would have been. If Jalen Hurts was healthy, the game would have been close.
I think they would have won the game comfortably.
No, I'm not saying they would have won. I think we all think they would have won. I'm saying you think it would not have been close.
No, I think they would have won a good game. You know what I mean? I'm not taking nothing away from JD5 and what he did to that Philadelphia defense. I'm not taking that away from him. But I had Washington in my top 7 last week. That's my point. My point is, if you objectively look at my top 7, tell me a team that right now isn't worthy of being in there. Both of you got a combination of every team I got. The only difference I have is with you, Calvin, is I think the Ravens are better than the Packers. And Justin, the only difference between me and you is I think Washington is better than the Packers. Either one, I just can't justify Washington or the Ravens being less than the Packers. Okay. I just can't.
I'll say this. Let Minnesota lose next week, and they at risk of being out of my top 7.
If Minnesota wins next week, then what are they? So if
Minnesota wins, and everyone can't win, but if Minnesota wins and the other 5 teams win, which means Green Bay loses, then Green Bay falls out.
Who's Green Bay play next week?
They play Minnesota.
And I comfortably can say that Minnesota's going to win that game. Without doubt, I'll put $100 on it right now. All right.
Go to FanDuel and put that up. Go to FanDuel.
I'm just saying, I just objectively can look at the Green Bay Packers and say they're a good team. I don't think they're better than any of these teams that we have on our list.
When they played earlier, I don't remember if Jordan Love was still injured or not, because I think it was earlier in the season. But I do not think Sam Darnold can win a duel against Jordan Love. Take it as a knock against Sam Darnold or Minnesota.
I think you're thinking about Sam Darnold at the Jets. I'm thinking about Sam Darnold,
the quarterback of the Minnesota Vikings. That's what I'm thinking of.
Hockenson, with loaded weapons and that defense.
Okay. So in regards to the quarterbacks in the league, both of you, Sam Darnold is top what?
The top of the Minnesota Vikings. Definitely.
No, quarterback wise, he is the top what quarterback in the NFL?
He's a top 10 quarterback.
I disagree with that.
I can't say top 10, but his team is. I know that much.
That's fine, but I
he's a product of the team. Someone has to lead the ship, so I have to give him that.
You taking Tua or Sam Darnold?
Right now, I'm taking Sam Darnold.
You taking Russ or Sam Darnold?
I'm taking Sam Darnold.
CJ or Sam Darnold?
You see how CJ's playing? Sam Darnold.
You taking Herbert or Sam Darnold?
I'm taking Herbie.
Give me
put Herbert on Minnesota. They gonna
Cooper Rush just demolished your Tampa. Cooper Rush just dominated your Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Keep that in mind.
First and foremost, it's Todd Bowles defense. That happens every 3 weeks.
Stafford or Sam Darnold?
Stafford playing like crap.
Geno or Sam Darnold?
And you know what's crazy?
Why?
Pause that
Why
for one
is this a
second.
conversation now?
Pause that for 1 second. Stafford, a couple weeks ago, when I told y'all that Buffalo and Rams game, that big duel, everybody was talking about where the Rams beat the Bills and Josh Allen scored like 3 rushing touchdowns and 3 passing touchdowns, and everybody was giving him MVP awards because he outdo Matthew Stafford and the Rams. And all of I said, calm down. He beat the Rams. Like, the Rams have gone out there the last 2 weeks and put up duds and straight by.
Does that say more about Buffalo's defense?
That says more about this. Probably, because Matthew Stafford has not shown that same level of output against anybody else.
Okay.
Again,
but he's been winning though.
Well, I'll give him the winning thing. I'm not. They skating by. They getting
Sam Darnold been winning, so.
But Sam Darnold been impressive in his wins. He ain't just no going along for the ride type quarterback.
Right.
He's throwing the rock.
Look, over 250 yards, 2 to 3 touchdowns a game.
Every week.
I think y'all severely overrated Sam Darnold.
I'm not overrating Sam Darnold. I'm not a Sam Darnold apologist.
I'll say Justin, because a lot of names he ran through, I'm like, there ain't no question. I'm taking another quarterback. But
what I'm saying is that in this situation, I can only go by what you put on film. He's averaging over 250 yards. He's putting up 2 to 3 touchdowns with little to no turnovers a game. That's how level quarterback play.
Let me ask you this question: what do you do next year if you're Minnesota? Do you re-sign Sam Darnold and trade McCarthy?
You worry about this year and see how far you get. That's what you do.
You go all these hypotheticals, and then you ready to pull the trigger during that time.
Guess what?
So, you gotta
sign him to be a backup.
You gotta pay Sam Darnold. So you gotta pay him $40-50 million a year. So ain't no going in the training camp seeing what you got.
I'm giving him 30 to 40. He's getting that Baker Mayfield money.
You think he's taking that?
He based.
You don't think
he's backup? You don't think yes? Because he gonna find out.
You don't think the Jets?
You remember life in Carolina?
He went to the Jets. You think the Jets ain't gonna give him more?
He's going to get similar. Baker Mayfield showed that he was a high level quarterback last year. He took a $30 to $40 billion deal because that's what he's worth.
Okay.
Sam Darnold can do the exact same.
I'm saying I think Sam Darnold will get more because I think there are probably 2 to 3 teams that will pay him more. So Minnesota has to ante up the money if they want to keep Sam Darnold. They have to make a decision: is it Sam Darnold or is it JJ McCarthy? And then ride with that decision.
No, you
could probably get another one for JJ. You could probably get another one for JJ. He was top 8 this year's draft, so you could probably get your one back easily for a team that needs a quarterback. If you're New Orleans and you're not top 10,
I think you sign Sam Darnold and roll with it because you know why? You don't know what the rookie's going to be, but you know what Sam Darnold has done. So we'll see. Let's move on to the association. Not a lot to cover, but we do need to touch on a few things from the past week. So Wemby was named Western Conference Player of the Week, averaging 36 points a game. Howbeit it was only a 2-game sample size, but hey, 36 points a game is 36 points a game. A man of his size should average 10 rebounds a night. I don't care. This is pathetic, 6.5, but 7 blocks a game. That's impressive.
Yeah, that's crazy.
When's the last time you heard anybody averaging 7 blocks a game? Averaging. That's wild. That's wild. In the Eastern Conference, Cade Cunningham quietly has been having a very, very consistent good season for the Detroit Pistons. I quite often take him on my 20-point parlay, and he cashes in routinely. But there was a good week for him last week with 12 assists as well. 12, almost 13 assists a night. So good on both of those gentlemen. The records over the past week, updated standings. Stands the Cleveland Cavaliers, who got a big victory over the Milwaukee Bucks, who were riding high after winning the in-season tournament last week. Cleveland says, slow down, come on back down to earth. We still the number 1 team in the East right now for a reason, and they were able to beat the Bucks the other night. I watched that game. That was pretty impressive on that part. In the Western Conference, OKC Thunder coming off of that in-game tournament, still 22-5. Very good, well-positioned in the Western Conference. Any big-time stories to highlight from the past week? Let's start with you, Justin. Anything you like to highlight from the association over the past week before we preview these Christmas games?
I want to highlight tonight in which Joel Embiid just got ejected because he shoulder charged offensively. He was trying to back down, but he just went straight at Wemby. got called for the offensive foul, started to complain about it. He got teed up. Then he started to complain about that tee, and he threw his ass out. Like, that's, bro,
classic Joel Embiid.
you're not at that level right now to have, like, it's okay. Like, no, it's not okay. The fans wasn't even like outwardly booing the situation. It was like, yeah, you deserved it. That's not what you want. So even the fans are starting to be real fair weather about Joel Embiid. I know that's what they were saying. The Philadelphia 76ers, they're dumpster juice. They're dumpster fire, and it's just it's from a New York side of things. It is a wonderful sight to see. It is a wonderful sight to see, because I come in contact with a lot of Philly fans, and they was like this high. Like, oh, y'all should have got Paul George. Y'all didn't have that. Y'all got Mikal Bridges, and you could have had Paul George. Paul George is averaging like 5 points the last couple games.
Trash.
You tell me. So
trash.
That's what I wanted to highlight per se amongst the great play in the Eastern Conference.
Calvin.
Yeah, I'm going to talk about those New Orleans Pelicans and how they have everyone on the trade block, including Zion Williamson. I think it's time for Zion to get out of New Orleans. I think the mesh has just been kind of up and down, injury-wise, availability-wise, just and play-wise sometimes as well. So interesting to see if someone will take a chance on Zion and what will they give up and where will he go. I've seen rumors of Charlotte, even Detroit. And I think when you have young talent and you still have Zion, he's in his 5th, 6th year in the league, but he's still only like less than 25 or maybe 25 at the oldest. You still have the potential for him to kind of take his game to the next level, depending on the situation. So I'm interested to see who takes a shot on Zion and where he goes. And does he have a true point guard that can get him the ball in places to score and knows to give him the ball so we can see more point Zion as well. So I'm interested to see what the New Orleans Pelicans do, because this is also their last year of getting a draft pick from the Lakers as well. So you can say the Lakers definitely won that trade at this point. If you're still bottoming out with all the talent you acquired, the draft picks, so you had top 5 draft picks in the same draft. You got Zion, you had CJ, Brandon Ingram, and you're still at the bottom of the barrel in the Western Conference. What's going on in New Orleans? Where will Zion end up?
Okay. My thoughts about those Memphis Grizzlies. I think this has been a really good turnaround year, bounce back year for them. Not even necessarily all about, what we expected to see from Ja Morant, but I think as a team, they've been pretty consistent, playing good basketball, and I like to see it. You know what I mean? What Ja went through, and a lot of it was self-inflicted. A lot of people thought that was right on the cusp where this team was really jumping out and peaking as being one of those new contenders and the faces of the league for Ja Morant, and then for him to have the issues with the guns, and that's really a bad look on the league, and what they don't want to have that representing them as him being one of the young stars to build around hurt a lot of his marketability. And over the last week, a lot of the conversation has been about what can be done to change the league's ratings and improve ratings. A lot of people complaining about, the NBA's ratings are down, popularity has decreased. People have having conversations about, is it because it's too much 3-point shooting? Should they move the 3-point line back? Because teams are just settling for too many threes. Like this is some type of new phenomenon. What can the game do to change? Because it's bad basketball, so people have decided to stop watching. The NBA is losing popularity. It's not like exciting like it used to be. We don't have any defense anymore. I've heard so many things about it, but a lot of it comes down to me about having young stars that the league are marketing properly to be the face of the league. Because we know during the Michael Jordan era, Jordan was a star. And it was a cast of characters out there, but there was, at the end of the day, the centerpiece was Michael Jordan. The next era, you had the Kobe and Shaqs. You had your, star players in different cities where people were into Allen Iverson or into, different regional stars in the Eastern Conference or the Western Conference. Then your LeBrons and your D Wades and your Carmelo Anthony's, and you always had a Vince Carter or Tracy McGrady. It's a star-driven league. That's what it is. But currently, who can you look around and see that the league is really focusing on as that next generation of big stars? You have, Jalen. Excuse me. In Boston, you got
Jaylen Brown.
Jaylen Brown,
Jason Tatum.
who's having his issues with Nike and different protests that he's had. So is the league going to really run to promote someone like a Jaylen Brown? No. Jason Tatum, he's more soft-spoken. He's not really out there. Is he getting the league PR team going around him to make him into a big star, even though Boston is one of the best teams in the league? No. In Cleveland, who is the star of the Cleveland Cavaliers, the best team in the league right now, that the league is really putting a machine behind to make them the big star? Nobody. The New York Knicks, you got a Jalen Brunson. Is he being put on a lot of commercials and being put out as a poster child for the league to show? No. So, again, you got a Giannis who is a champion, but many say he's been in the league a long time. As you really look at it, Giannis is 10-plus years in now at this point. So it's not like he's a new star. Who are those new stars that the leagues are deciding to really put the machine behind to show that, hey, this is why you should be watching the NBA. The future's here. This is bright. Now, we know we had that conversation about the Minnesota Timberwolves and their star, but can you really take a guy from Minnesota and make him the star of the league and that be marketable? I don't know. So that's a bigger conversation, I know, but that's been happening a lot here lately. And a lot of people are saying something's wrong with the league and things need to change. I know that's long-winded, but Calvin, any thoughts on any of that?
So, I mean, I know the ratings have been down, but I think part of that is there's not been another successful, the next LeBron, the next Steph that has been able to show out to the masses, not just the basketball world, but just to the outside world who are casual basketball fans. And what the NBA has not done is it has not marketed their biggest stars. You have this series on Netflix, but you have the same. You're trying to retread your same stars. Why not have new stars? Why not just try to introduce yourself to the new stars that are less known? That's fine if the ratings are low, but you're still introducing your new stars. Why not have someone different? The Wagner twins. Let's introduce ourselves to them. They're balling down there in Orlando. So you have to be able to promote your new stars. They haven't been able to do that. And I think one of the biggest issues is they thought that Ja was going to be the next star, and then because of his issues, they've had to pull those reins back. And it can't be Tatum. It's not Anthony Edwards. None of those have had the same charisma, the same flash as Ja had a couple years ago, and they haven't found anyone to replace him. And they're still trying to find those individuals. But even when you look at what the Christmas Day schedule, you see Steph and LeBron, you see KD, you see Tatum, we've already tried these already. And either they're past their point. No one expects LeBron in year 22 to carry the league. Even Steph, who's only in year 15, 16, is past the point of carrying the league as well. So they have a new star that they're able to market to everyone that either you want to see succeed or fail. And they're still trying to find that person.
I agree. And that's why I put up the Christmas schedule, because look who they get the primetime games to. The people we just talked about. These are the veterans who've been in the league, 10 years plus? You know what I mean? At some point, you have to put these guys in position to be the stars of the league. Anthony Edwards playing at 2:30 in the afternoon. You know what I mean? Luka Doncic playing at 2:30 in the afternoon. This would be the primetime game if that's what you want to be primetime. And people are tired of hearing about the Lakers, LeBron and Steph Curry at 8 o'clock. You know what I mean? Like Joel Embiid might not even play. People have no confidence that they're going to turn into that game and see a full-fledged game with the stars, because they low management, injuries, everybody's missing all the time. It's just no consistency. Justin, your thoughts?
One, I wasn't prepared for this conversation because it is very multi-faced. We have some issues. Let's talk about this Christmas thing, right? Where's OKC?
Agreed.
Where's Houston? Where's Memphis?
Where's Memphis?
Where's Cleveland?
I can understand Cleveland. But like you said, you're talking about marquee guys. You have Ja, you have Shea. I don't see them. That's a problem. Another issue is you have a lot of premier talent that's not American based. That's a slight problem because we can't relate to a lot. We can't relate to
no,
like that.
I agree with you. But I was more so focused on we need to find the next American star. But I agree with what you're saying. You can't relate to
you can market these international stars in a way.
I don't think it's not the same though.
I don't think they want to be marketed like that. That's the
I
problem.
agree.
You have to change how you market. That's my point.
No, I hear what you're saying, but the American people won't they won't galvanize for those type of people. We're looking for
I
a
agree.
homebred guy. That's
I
why
agree.
the playoffs last year it was just pretty much dumped on Anthony Edwards. It was dumped on him, and he couldn't perform to what we tagged him Joy. We was like, yo, this is Joy right here. That's how much we wanted in the
Begging
American
for it.
soil.
Begging.
But I asked you a question and I answer it myself, based off of time. Who's more influential, Steph Curry or James Harden? A lot of people will say Steph Curry because that's what people will think. Oh, the 3-pointers and all that stuff. But when you look at Steph Curry's game, people don't play like Steph Curry. They don't run around the picks. They don't do all those things that Steph Curry does to create space for himself. They play like James Harden, the Houston James Harden. I'm gonna dribble a little bit, pat the ball, step back, shoot the tray. If I can't get the tray, I'm driving straight to the basket, and hopefully I get a foul. That's the game today. James Harden himself
roll basketball a lot,
changed the whole entire league, and we don't even really give him credit for that. But to credit comes to the detriment. There is no individual players anymore. They all play similar basketball. Pick and roll to see who got the advantage, and I'm gonna try to break down the person in order to get to the basket. And people are playing very, very similar versus, let's say 2000 to 2015. If you take that stretch, now I say that particular stretch because it's the post-Jordan stretch. That means Jordan that came through. We saw what Jordan can do, and now I'm gonna emulate my game after Jordan. And then you started to see just a whole bunch of different talents, and you still had, let's say you had the Jordan S players, T-Mac, Paul Pierce, Vince Carter, Kobe, right? And then you have the AIs of the world. They was different. AI, Stephon Marbury, Steve Francis. You had a whole bunch of guards that was started. Gilbert Arenas. You had a whole bunch of guards that started to play different. And then you still had your Kevin Garnett's, Tim Duncan's, Dirk Nowitzki's, Shaquille O'Neal's representing the bigs at the same time. So you had so many different flavors, I should say, to go with Larry's original point of you had stars. Stars provides different flavors, right? I had different people. When everyone's playing a similar game, it takes a certain amount of people to really stand out. They're not really standing out. That's
part of the problem is when you see something that's successful, you want to copy it, and that's what happened. Even the triangle. Look what the triangle did in the 90s, and then what we saw replicated the same system in 2000s. Like, it's not like that was a new thing that Kobe and Shaq were doing. Jordan ran the same offense. I mean, that's what they did. And guess what? Look how many titles that offense won. So yes, when you saw the Don what's his name for the Dallas Mavericks, and he's
Don
Nelson. Don Nelson and the Golden State Warriors shooting up all them threes, and it was exciting, and people was like, "Oh man, we could do that." And then you go and Phoenix start doing it with Mike D'Antoni, and they just pop, and Sacramento, and that it became the thing to do but you had to have the players to do it. Now we got players who can just shoot. Now all your big men. Look at Wemby. We talked about this. I shared that clip of Stephen A. Smith talking about it's not impressive for me to see Wemby dunk. That's what I expect Wemby to do. If Wemby shoot a 3, that's what I'm impressed by. I'm like, so we want the big man to go out there and shoot threes? Like, I want him to dunk.
You want him to dominate.
I want him to do whatever is the most high percentage. Like,
there's no reason Wemby shouldn't be shooting 60% from the field easily.
Like, he should be shooting 80% from the field if you want to.
I'm giving him a couple of the game, so
yeah, but I'm just saying the problem is everybody wants to be a shooter. Everybody wants to be Dirk Nowitzki. It's not just James Harden. Yeah. It's like the game has changed because there's been a certain level of unique unicorns who everybody think, oh, I can do that too. And now we don't, like, I agree with the point of we don't have a variety like the game used to have. But also, I really do. Charles made a great point. I think he was on Dan Patrick's show. And the game, our attention as a society is not what it used to be. The NFL is king because the NFL plays a 17-game season, regular season, and then they go into the playoffs.
Every game matters.
And then it's over. You know what I mean? Like, every game matters as a single elimination tournament to finish it off. We get a champion and it moves on. And guess what? People are still interested about NFL in the offseason. They're still thinking about it for the draft. They're still thinking about it for training camp. They're still thinking about it because they know once the season starts, every game matters. The NBA, we're talking about the NBA every week because that's what we do. We talk about basketball. But in all actuality, what was the saying always? The season don't start till what? Christmas Day. So that year when they had the lockout, and Charles made that point, and they didn't start the season until Christmas, that was some of the best basketball that second half because it felt like a sense of urgency. They had the whole everything to themselves because it was the NFL was wrapping up. People could focus on basketball more. I really think if the NBA wanted to make any change, I would start the season at Christmas Day. That would be my kickoff.
I mean,
let's go from there.
I agree, and I mean, even if you don't shorten it, if you can have your Super Bowl, your NBA Finals around August when NFL is starting to ramp up.
Oh, you want to move the whole season?
I'm talking about just moving the whole season back. So instead of start October, you start in December. Now instead of finishing in June, you finish in August. You have the whole.
You might as well. People don't watch baseball like that.
You have, I mean, but even still, I think if you're the premier league, baseball is just starting up. It's just starting time to get good when you're wrapping up your title. You're wrapping up your season. So,
True.
I mean, that's if you don't shorten the season, which I mean, I don't think anyone does that because you got to get back money. But I think that's what you do. And now
I think that's the whole problem with that. They don't want to shorten season because of money. But right. I think that will cut down on them not needing to take so many games off.
And like I said, I think the advent of the 3-pointer is too much, and like you said, the guys are more skilled, so you have to. Then I have to circumvent that. Maybe, like I said, I am a fan of from the 3-point line, just curve it to the outside to the elbows, and just anything else underneath that. Hey man, it's all to you. So do what you want to do at that point. Hey. But this is something that I think I haven't seen a lot of people talk. They talk about it, but it's not the same correlation. The All-Star game, that is a time I think the older players knew I can showcase the league with individual matchups in the All-Star game. If I take it serious enough, I can catch casuals to watch what we do. When you don't care about it, you lose the casuals, and then you start to lose some diehards that's rocking with you. Because I want to see you go against your competition. I want to see you go against other players because
it's a chance for people to preview.
I don't want to have to wait to the playoffs every time, and it's everybody all in one stage. I want to see who the best person is at that stage. I think the older players knew that. I think they got that, and I think it got lost along the way.
The older players treated it like what it was supposed to be. PR. That was a PR opportunity.
It was a PR opportunity.
Show off the league. You know what I mean? Yeah. And these younger players, I think some of them take it serious.
But they already got the PR before they even make the All-Star game. So they look at it like, I don't need this I don't need any more.
Some of the younger players, I think they would take it more serious if the older players didn't dominate the attitude of how it's handled. Like, you don't have too many guys like a Russell Westbrook who takes everything serious. You know what I mean? I'm going to go hard regardless. You know what I mean? Like, Jason Tatum, who I feel like just jacks up shots because he's trying to score. You know what I mean? Like, he want to get his numbers regardless.
I saw some earlier. Somebody said he's the closest to LeBron that we have today, and like I
don't know, man. But LeBron take this serious, but then at the same time,
serious at times.
I think he's had.
I agree with that. He now he's trying to be liked. So now this is what they're doing.
Earlier, I can vividly recall when Kobe Bryant was trying to call out LeBron James, and LeBron James didn't necessarily step up to that. Carmelo had to call
LeBron didn't even want to dunk in the dunk contest. Let's be honest.
he sells some blame for this too. I'm not.
Oh
I'm
yeah,
not giving it all on LeBron.
That's
I'm not absolving him.
no, but still, you gotta. It has to be someone that says, "Look, if you're not going to take this game, I'm just going to go ahead and bust your ass, and I'm going to make you look bad." And that's when the All-Star games start to come back, not by trying to push in G League players or making more teams.
Yeah,
and now all you're doing is diluting the product.
Yeah. But anyway, this showcase again, it's going to be some games on Christmas. I'm not saying it's nothing that nobody.
Can we change it and just start doing a Christmas schedule maybe 3 weeks in advance so we know which teams are hot instead of doing that like we care at the beginning of the season who plays on Christmas. We just care that it's basketball on all day and then it's premier matchups. But if you would have to replace if you would have put Cleveland and Memphis, and Houston, Oklahoma City in this matchup, you would still have good basketball games. You could take out your Phoenix. I'm sorry, your Phoenix, your Philly. Your
well, maybe do it by according to record, like at a certain time. Look at it
like a position round or something
if you got a certain record, you get that Christmas Day spotlight. Like
I ain't got no problem.
I don't mind that. Whatever.
And health should go into it as well. I ain't gonna say.
Oh yeah,
you're trying to market your product. It's the one day of the year. It's not much on TV, sports wise. Normally, you got the NFL.
Well, now the NFL even taking over Christmas, so they got 2 games
for the next 3-4 years. It's going to be NFL on Christmas as well.
Well, look at this mess. The NFL got game at 1:00, so you know a lot of people not going to be watching that. The rest of that the Dallas game, they're not going to play. They got a game at 4:00. A lot of people not going to see that Boston Philly game. Games will be wrapping up around what time? They put on Golden State and the Lakers.
Yeah,
Golden State and the Lakers.
And look, you got Beyonce performing at halftime, so you ain't even flipping over the halftime. You gonna watch the halftime show now?
Watching the NFL. So again, they put normally the Lakers play at 5:00.
5:00. Yep.
They moved it to 8:00 because they don't want to go head to head.
5:00 used to be that premier. It used to be that premier time. You wanted to play in the middle of the day.
Show off some of your young talent, man. This makes no sense. Again, they're not thinking this through, and they wonder why the ratings are down. Anyway, before we get out of here, let's touch a little bit on this college football playoff and what we saw from this past weekend. Because it was interesting. Look, anybody who has been a proponent for the playoff the last few years, you have to eat this. You have to eat this because this opening round was not what you were expecting. Call it what it is. Look, Texas, great story. Ohio State mopped the floor with them. You know what I mean?
Tennessee.
Tennessee. Why did I say Texas? Tennessee. Again, great story. Nothing wrong with them being in it. They earned their way. Fine. Indiana had no business there.
Great story.
Notre Dame smoked them. You know what I mean? Like certain things you just knew going in. Things. Penn State had more interceptions for touchdowns in the first half of that game than some teams have all year. That was utterly pathetic. What more can you say? Oregon, I think they probably pissed off. They got to play Ohio State coming up this weekend.
Yeah.
How that we the number 1 overall seed and we draw Ohio State? That's crazy to me. Your thoughts on anything from the past weekend and what we expect to see this weekend? Let's start with you, Calvin.
That first weekend was a dud, easily to say, but if you bet it right, you made some money.
Yeah.
Thank you. But look, I think it went by chalk, but I think this is where the play. I've always been an advocate for 8 teams versus 12. I don't care about the 13th team that didn't make it. I do care about the 9th team that didn't make it. And I think this will only hurt teams going forward because now you're going to look back and say, well, if we put Alabama in, even though they were 3-loss team, we would have got better performance. We would have got better ratings. We would have made more money. So if we put Miami is a good offense. We would have had more points. We would have had better ratings. So I think this is the true week where the matchup starts. That Ohio State Oregon matchup is going to be key, and especially on that same side of the bracket, the winner has to most likely play Texas as well. That's a tough side of the bracket, and I think the winner will come from one of those 3 teams. Also interested in seeing what does Genty do against Penn State. One of the bigger tests that you have is going into the Big 12 Big 12 and seeing what you can do against a team like that. We've heard about the Heisman snub, but can you perform on this level against this team when the stakes are high? That'd be an interesting game for me.
Yeah. Justin, any thoughts on what you saw and what you expect to see?
You know, you mentioned the viewers. I mean, they still average about 10.5 million viewers for the first week. So that's blowouts. That's with the NFL creeping in on Saturdays a little bit as well. So they did okay. They did what they want to do. They wanted to get more viewers in on a one particular day, and we want to keep it moving week in and week out. So it happens. And just like with any playoff system, a lot of times in the first round of playoffs, it's blowouts because some teams crept in that don't really belong there. So that's what the playoffs are for. The playoffs is to weed those out early, and then now you have better competition moving forward. So it's all good if I get a couple blowouts here and there in the first round. I don't want to see it, by the third round. No, I don't want to see that.
That's true.
But
you want to see the best versus the best.
If my team is better than yours, it's going to show really, really quick. So it is what it is. Like I said, I'm just looking forward to more and more as the tournament goes through. This first round was okay to me, but we're here for the long run.
I wasn't for the upset.
How it plays out.
I didn't want no upsets. I want to see chalk. Okay. Now I want to see the big games. You know what I mean? I want to see the best versus the best. I wasn't looking forward to no TCUs and BYUs and all that other stuff. No. Give me Texas. Give me, you know what I mean, Oregon. Give me those games. I want to see those matchups. So anyway, great show tonight, fellas. This was fun. I want to wish everyone a happy holidays, a Merry Christmas, and you all enjoy your families. Got some good games on Christmas as we went over the NFL and NBA slates for this Wednesday. So we appreciate you all for tuning in on an early night this week on a Monday. But we will be back next week, probably on a Monday as well. So tune in for that because Tuesday night is New Year's Eve, and I know a lot of people have plans. I know I do, but I want to make sure that you know in a week in advance. We will be back next Monday night, recapping everything from this past weekend, getting you ready for all the bowl games and all that kind of stuff, because this college football playoff does still keep intact the Rose Bowl, the Orange Bowl, and all those big-time bowls that we're familiar with. So all those are still coming up. I love this time of year for football and all the sports that are happening. This is my favorite time of the year, period. So should be good times. And again, we'll see if the Ravens are able to get that win against the Texans on Wednesday. And if they do, they will be in prime position to finish the season and get into the playoffs as the kings of the AFC North if the Pittsburgh needs to win one more game. Because Pittsburgh does hold the tiebreak, correct, Calvin?
They will if they win out, yes.
Yeah, so they finish
tied, then they got a tiebreaker.
Yeah. Pittsburgh has the Chiefs, then they finish the season with the Cincinnati Bengals. So that's not a cakewalk, and the Ravens have the Browns for their last game of the season. So we've seen that they beat us before, but they got to come to the bank. And we know
they playing DTR too. They ain't playing James.
Yeah, so we'll see. Any final thoughts for anybody?
Did the other one y'all watch the fight?
Usyk Fury. He beat him again.
Okay.
Yeah. Justin, any thoughts before we get out of here?
All hail Reds, Commanders. Go Washington.
I was going to say all.
Yeah.
What
giving up on the Bucks? What's happening here?
No. Washington played the Falcons, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh yeah.
I am an avid Washington fan this upcoming week.
Good luck.
JD.
6 days.
Yeah, should be fun. All right, everybody. Merry Christmas. We'll see you next week right here on Get Off the Damn Fence. Holla at you.